as I've been, watching, this stuff unfold in terms of Trump's legal problems, and we were just reading during the break that Maggie Haberman is, the Trump whisperer,
Mm.
has been talking to his advisors, and she says he's not at where he's throwing staplers, but he's definitely afraid and furious, and that shouldn't be a surprise to anybody. Um, but the sort of fantasy land that they live in, that this is just, if we can talk crap about people long enough, they'll drop their case against us because of the optics, because they don't want to look like they're going after New York business, because New York business has always been shady as hell, right? And there's a certain level of, like, between the DA and the press and SDNY and all that, they've always had to kind of shuffle around the fact that, like, if we pull at this thread, the whole thing's coming down.
Yeah.
And so they've avoided going after some of the worst of the worst, except in case of, Rudy Giuliani, where he went after the Italian crime families so that he could open up many fields for the Russian and Chinese mob to move in. How lovely of him.
Many feet.
And there's no, why would you think there's a quid pro quo there when there's security contracts to be had by pro-Russian puppets in Ukraine and Europe, all over Europe afterwards, that Rudy Giuliani took advantage of after 9/11? Why would you even think such a thing? So over the last, couple of weeks, as we've watched this kind of vacillation between, if Eric and Don Jr. get out there and go, guys, these are guys, come on, guys, it's terrible what they're doing, these are normal. I don't know why everybody in that family is getting soprano voice really bad. I don't get it. Like,
I wonder why.
they're like zero to Godfather. Everybody goes to, like, it's like they were all, they're all the bastard sons of an adjunct side joke from Andrew Dice Clay. They all the Trump kids somehow talk like that. I'm not quite sure why, except Ivanka, which she's got a deeper baritone. It's nice. The reason they think this is, before it worked because of just kind of the general page 6 level optics. Now they have an army of right-wing nutcases that some folks are just afraid will kill them. That some of the worries are now about death threats. If you come out against Trump, you vote against him in the impeachment, for example, get ready for, this barrage of death threats, overt and covert and subverted, from his entire crowd. That's now beyond just kind of the, oh, okay, I want to run for office, and there's going to be crowds of people that, like this other guy, are going to show up, and it'll be hard to get my message out, and I'll just, the return on investment on going after this guy is kind of marginal. It's going to cost us more money than the city will make, and even though he's a criminal, do we really, all that stuff. Now they're worried about their own personal January 6th showing up on their doorstep. And the Tucker Carlsons of the world and the Sean Hannitys of the world are making it worse. They are actively involved in driving up this conspiratorial thought. Again, with the talk this week where, for those of you that didn't follow the 2-day fadangle that happened between the NSA and Tucker Carlson, is that he claimed, according to a whistleblower, that the NSA was reading his emails. That was the quote. And on his show, he said the National Security Agency is reading our emails, meaning the show,
Mm-hmm.
and that they are planning on leaking emails from it to get his show taken off the air. Which the NSA deals with foreign problems, just like the CIA. Foreign terrorist threats, foreign criminal threats, and foreign threats in general against the United States. If there's a plot by a government, that counts too. Leading up to war, that kind of stuff. So over the course of, their job, they would only come across Tucker Carlson's things, emails, if, and let me put this, like, what kind of, hypothetically, if Tucker Carlson had a white supremacist as his head writer, hypothetically, on his show,
Just in case,
or several of them that wrote on sites like Stormfront and neo-Nazi websites, Holocaust denying stuff, anti-black, anti-LGBTQ kind of stuff all the time, nonstop, is like a habit, as a thumb-clicking habit. And some of them, while some of them worked on his staff, also had compatriots in, say, the far-right neo-Nazi movement in Germany, let's say hypothetically. And hypothetically, they introduced those folks to Tucker Carlson, and Tucker Carlson was emailing those folks directly, who are being watched by Interpol in conjunction with the NSA and other national security organizations for Germany and other European groups, because they're watching for the rise in Nazi allied groups. And hypothetically, Tucker Carlson was going back and forth with some of them, and in that, the NSA and CIA and the Interpol and NYPD and other groups had people posting as people in those groups for intel, and stumbled across a bunch of emails they got on an email tree with Tucker Carlson and the next Grand Wizard Duke Dragon of the, whatever their organization is, in Germany, planning on the next Oklahoma City bombing. And they found those emails. And somebody in that organization, who may either be a CI, a confidential informant, who's not really allied with them but sells that stuff, might decide, I could sell this stuff to another news organization as a source, make a lot of money, and what a story. And if you're Tucker Carlson, you might get a whiff that one of the guys that used to be in the group, hypothetically, is no longer there and might be a confidential informant that might have been working all over the world in terms of outing right-wing white nationalist supremacy neo-Nazi groups. And he might have a lot of emails when they were, pen paling. And he might be aware that that stuff is coming out. And so he comes out and he goes, the NSA is spying on me. And not spying on me, spying on us, the show, on Tucker Carlson tonight. Right. And that the NSA comes out and goes, he's never been a target of the NSA, and we're not interested, nor do we have any plans to take his show off the air, nor would we. And everybody's going, they didn't say they weren't reading his emails. They said he's never been a target. Which would be the allegation that Tucker Carlson made. They are answering his allegation. He said they are reading our emails and trying to get our show taken off the air, meaning his show, meaning that we are a target. They are targeting us. The NSA decided to target us, and they are reading our emails and planning on leaking stuff to get our show taken off, because that's what they want. The NSA is full of wokes, because that's who's in there.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, that's absolutely, and they've been there forever. The deep state wokesters, they all got in somewhere in Reagan and re-upped their wokeism during Bush, during the torture memos, and they've been in there ever since. And they've really had it with Tucker Carlson. And so over the course of many decades, they've decided he's the one they need to take out, and they're spying on him directly. His accusation was they're spying on him directly. Their answer was, we're not spying on him directly, and we have no interest in doing so. He might have been scooped up in other stuff. Part of it should be more of a concern, one would think, for Tucker Carlson, because every time Tucker Carlson brings up who he was talking to in the emails, he doesn't mention them. He doesn't mention who or what the subject matter would be, or why indeed any of his leaked emails. And remember, you can't leak a lie. I'll stand by my belief that all of the Hunter Biden stuff you've seen is a lie, that it's all manufactured, it's deep fakery, or they took, real emails and added text to them to further, this narrative or whatever, because there's no corresponding truth about it. And Hunter Biden's not saying, that's my stuff, I really said that. So that's where that is right now. That's where it sits. But Tucker Carlson just said they're going to leak some stuff. So Tucker Carlson is admitting already, ahead of it, that whatever stuff comes out from emails, wherever that source may come, even if he claims it's the NSA, wherever it comes from, is, in fact, true. That's why he's using the word leak. So he's getting out ahead of what he sees as a leak coming down the pike. It might have been why Fox has been punting him to the Fox Nation website and slowly moving his site there. Also, their ratings have been in the trash lately post Trump because they were wrong about all of it. So they're down like 70%. And all news is down after Trump because news shouldn't be beating fiction in the ratings game. It should always be the stuff you watch when you have to. And anytime you have to watch the news, anytime you're white-knuckling the news every day, that's bad. That's a bad sign for society. That's like saying, that's like when you go and they go, consumer spending is way up. And it's a good sign for the economy. Yeah, what are they spending it on? Antidepressants and facelifts. Oh, okay, well then that's not necessarily a good sign, right? The same thing is true for the news. If there are times when you need to go check out the news. Oh my God, throw on CNN. Oh my God, throw on MSNBC. Oh my God, throw on Fox. Whatever your source is. But if you're having to do that every day, and that's what the Trump years were. It was a white knuckle presidency most of the time because even Fox didn't know if he was going to blow everything up. And so every day people are rolling over, like checking Twitter to see if he denied rights to some other group of Americans all of a sudden, or if there was another battlefield that opened up in all these other areas we had to fight, right? And so in terms of, Trumpism, that was a bad sign as far as society goes. That if you have to worry about this stuff all the time, and the fact that we've had a bunch of stories like the story about the Moorish folks on the highway and those kind of, and there's a pipeline that we're dealing with that was a day in there, and then the Trump organization was indicted on charges of, of tax fraud and criminality. That's all normal news from like 1997. Yep. That's a good sign. I started this show because I'm a wonky type, and we started talking about the Affordable Care Act years ago, which has remained largely bulletproof throughout the years. And I read the whole thing. I read it, and I was willing to go on, Steph's show and explain it to people, me and Jackie Schechner, who didn't understand what was in it, so that you could fight for what you wanted, but not fight against what you were, what you might not want later, and that kind of stuff. Because that's how rights that apply equally to everybody, that's how they work. You're not going to enjoy them all the time because they have to apply to people you don't like and aren't like you. And the form of tribalism that's come up under Trump in the last few years specifically, and the freak out when Obama got elected on the right wing that led directly to Trump being a representative of them, that's all come from this idea that the tree of liberty is something you pluck from and run from your own. That diversity is as I believe, is the root of our strength, not the fruit of our strength. The fruit of diversity is everybody gaining from it, everybody sharing equally amongst themselves.
Thank you.
Not like, I'm going to grab it and run off to my camp again because this was my part, and therefore I'll keep my part from everybody else. That's unhealthy in a democracy especially, but in society as a whole, and certainly amongst human beings. So anyways, we've got to take a break. We'll be back right after this. It's the House Sparks Radio program, mega worldwide on WCPT Radio, Chicago's Progressive Talk. Patreon.com/HouseSparks. Help us out. Come on, it's not that hard. You can
Come
do
on.
it. Just do
What
it.
are you doing?
Patreon.com. Come on.
You're listening right now.
Yeah, you're listening right now for free. You're enjoying it. Come on.
Yay!
Yay!
Yay! And the I was kind of edging at the story that is the happy ending in a lot of ways, is the sort of normalizing of news over the last little bit. We are the cyber attacks that are happening are certainly concerning. This deals with something that's an aspect of modern age. It's something there's a learning curve that's going to happen.
It could have happened during the Obama administration.
That's right.
This it's just like it's news. It's the struggle, the day-to-day push and pull.
That's right, and it's something that you need to be aware of, especially if you're in one of these businesses or or you haven't been hit yet, and yet you need to learn from what they're. Nice bicycle, Michael. Tell them I said hi, and I use all their gear all the time.
What, does someone work with Line 6?
Yeah. Bicycle Mike in there. Report the concerning part and the leftover, and we're kind of edging out of the white knuckling of the Trump era to where it's hilarious, right? It's quite, his gathering in Wellington, Ohio, which happened after our show last time as well, was adorable. People left early. It was the same stuff. He's repeating the same story. He's become kind of a cross between the Glory Days football guy sitting at the end of the bar, going,
If they just given me the ball.
If they'd just given me the ball, man. Laces out.
Or like
somewhere,
Napoleon Dynamite.
Right. So, in the, the remnants of Trumpism, we find sort of the biggest concern is the flailing last grasp of those folks is going to be dangerous. So the concern with, the rise in white supremacist militias in the United States is directly tied to the fact that they feel like their power is slipping. And in their reaction to that, Trump losing when he was supposed to have won, that the idea that it was stolen and rigged and and Trump has to say that forever. I mean, now he sounds like, Biff Tannen after he lost the big game, and it's always, it's always somebody else's fault. And there's a danger to him repeating it 5 or 10 times. It's helpful now that he belligerently inserts it into everything. The ridiculousness of it is actually pushes back against any genuine belief by anybody around him. And the fact that you've got Greg Abbott and people like that sitting next to him at his gathering at the border, nearing the gap in his wall, this week kind of like twiddling their thumbs, waiting for them to, all right. We'll see, all right, wait, he's on this kick. Well, I'll find a moment to interrupt him in a second. And that Fox is turning off the feed and moving away. Not because they don't have a bunch of viewers that don't believe it. But that those viewers just get angry and when they're watching it, and that's all they want to hear about. It's just brutal. So anyways, we obviously had the story about the collapse of the building in Florida, a building that was built before some of the hurricane adjustments that have been made over years, otherwise known as building regulations, something that Donald Trump specifically patted himself on the back repeatedly for getting rid of, the kind of things you need. And, a lot of regulations outlived their usefulness. And so the Obama administration had this, rule where they're going to go through and broom out any of the useless ones and kind of update regulations, because that's what you really do. You don't get rid of 2 and put in 1. You update regulations around the reality of it because you learn more as you go along, especially when it comes to
this one though.
Which one?
Probably do something different.
Oh yeah, the regulations. Yeah.
Yeah.
In the case of, this particular group, like the Republican idea that we need to get rid of regulations, that regulations are the problem, that it's government overreach and it costs too much money, that the simplifying or clarifying of regulations is something you should and always seek to do. But it's not sexy. It's one of those things where it comes into the normal news order of things. We updated the regulations on building codes, and here they're posted at City Hall. That's what news should look like about this kind of stuff. Anybody who has any say in it should come down to the City Hall meeting or talk to the Army Corps of Engineers or whatever the project they're dealing with and go, I have some concerns about this cost versus benefit analysis, and I think we're overdoing it. This is not a real concern. We should be focused on these kind of things. And that's the level of news it should be. What the Republicans need to make it about, and what they always seem to make it about, is that government in and of itself is horrifying. Somebody just put in here, defunding the EPA, for example. That getting rid of anybody who looks is the issue. Get rid of the building inspectors. It's all graft anyways. Get the idea that right now, thanks to the petrochemical rules that the Republicans put in for years and have never been able to be like purged, and will be over the next couple of years, by the way, and this burning thing in the Gulf might point in that direction, is that dumping containers of waste in the ocean, your maximum fine for that is $25,000 a day. But the waste you're seeking to get rid of costs you $150,000 a day to bury somewhere, using proper regulations. So it's cheaper just pay the fine. So they just take the ships out and dump it in the ocean.
Yep.
Instead of, no, you're going to jail. That's when that changes. That's when, okay, you do it once, $25,000 fine, we caught you, don't do it again. You do it twice, you're going to pay double the fine. The third time, the people who run the company, who signed off on this, go to jail and stay there. Because that's the cost-benefit analysis that they will understand. And that's where a regulation, Flint water is a great example. Somebody's just bringing up,
yes.
That knowing, once you know that it has caused damage to, that the lead levels are going up, that's the moment where where the criminality clock starts ticking.
Yep.
Before you can claim ignorance, and then you pay a fine, and you were playing ducks and drakes with an entire, system of water.
Yeah, it's not like doing the lawsuits with seatbelts thing.
Right. You can back out of it on your own mistake. But the importance of it is once you recognize that the damage is being done and you're aware of that damage, that's when the jail time has to start in terms of those kind of regulations. And by keeping those kind of corporate regulations always shy of jail time when it comes to especially pollution and the like, which is why they're fighting the Green New Deal concepts, why they're fighting climate change stuff, is because they know eventually where it leads to is massive polluters are gonna go to jail. It's not gonna be about carbon costing them money or the cost of energy or any of that. Solar and wind has outpaced the cost per kilowatt benefits of fossil fuels for a couple of years now. It's officially recognized by the government as being so. What they're worried about is they're going to start hooking people up. The Alan Weisselbergs of pollution are going to see the inside of a courtroom. That's a concern, and that's what I'm looking forward to. We'll see you guys next week. Thanks for tuning in. It's the Hal Sparks Radio program, mega worldwide on WCPT Radio. We'll see you next time. Don't forget, like and subscribe, infotainmentwars.com. Thank you, Johnny Million. Thank you, Devin. Thank you, everybody at CPT. We'll see you next time.